Hi, this is Growthify Literature, and today's topic of discussion is Plato and Aristotle's literary theory. So, Plato and Aristotle's literary theory is an important part of UGC NET JRF syllabus and is also important for those appearing for master's exams or undergraduate exams. So let us start our discussion without any further ado. What is the reason? These are my own notes. मैंने खुद से ये बनाया। मैं जब मास्टर्स के लिए अपेयर कर रही थी, ये नोट्स मैंने तब बनाया था और ये मेरा अपना नोट्स है और ये जो भी हाइलाइटेड वर्जन है ये मैंने खुद से किया है। सो मैं उसी से आप लोग को भी समझाने वाली हूँ। The first question is that what is the reason for Plato's hostility towards art? इसका मतलब हमें समझ में आया कि Plato was hostile towards art and it was particularly poetry and drama. Why? The question is why. So first, when we start with Plato's reason for being hostile towards art, there are three reasons. The first one is ontological inferiority, which means art as an imitation of an imitation. According to Plato's metaphysical framework, he centers on theory of forms. Theory of forms is where he distinguishes between the world of unchanging, that is perfect forms or ideas, and the physical world, which is mere shadow or copy of that ideal reality. तो अब ये मैंने जो भी पढ़ा ये समझने में थोड़ा डिफ़िकल्ट लग सकता है। पहली बार जो भी सुन रहा होगा उसे समझ नहीं आ रहा होगा, मेरे साथ भी ऐसा हुआ है। इसीलिए वी टेक एन एग्जाम्पल so that we can get a better understanding of the topic. For example, all physical chairs are imperfect imitation of the ideal form of chair. So example में आप एक चेयर के बारे में सोचो और सोचो कि एक चेयर है जो हमारे दिमाग में हम ये सोच के रखें कि एक आइडल फॉर्म उस चेयर का, ठीक है। अब उस आइडल फॉर्म वो जो हमने सोचा है चेयर के बारे में कि चेयर ऐसा होना चाहिए, वो हम चेयर बना रहे हैं इन रियल लाइफ, इन फिजिकल वर्ल्ड। वी आर क्रिएटिंग दैट चेयर, ठीक है। एंड देन व्हेन समथिंग इज बीइंग रिटन अबाउट दैट चेयर, तो वो फिर एक अलग इमिटेशन हो गया, मतलब वो फिजिकल वर्ल्ड का इमिटेशन हो गया। सो द विच इज द थिंग रिटन अबाउट द चेयर इज एन आर्ट विच इज़ एन इमिटेशन ऑफ इमिटेशन। मतलब वो चेयर जो फिजिकल वर्ल्ड में एग्जिस्ट करता है वो इमिटेशन है आइडल वर्ल्ड का, एक आइडल फॉर्म ऑफ चेयर का जो हम लोग दिमाग में सोच के रखे हैं। और उसके बाद जब उस चेयर के बारे में कुछ लिखा जा रहा है वो इमिटेशन है फिजिकल वर्ल्ड ऑफ चेयर का। तो आर्ट इज बीइंग कंसिडर्ड अकॉर्डिंग टू प्लेटोज थियोरी ऑफ फॉर्म्स, art is being considered as imitation of an imitation. So it is like copy of a copy, ठीक है, which is said to be twice removed from the reality. इसका मतलब ये है कि जो रियलिटी है, जो हम लोग एक आइडल फॉर्म ऑफ चेयर के बारे में सोचे होना चाहिए, उससे उससे ट्वाइस रिमूव्ड है। दैट मीन्स दैट उसके बाद फिजिकल वर्ल्ड में जा रहा है और देन इट इज़ बीइंग क्रिएटेड इनटू एन आर्ट, पोएट्री और ड्रामा, एनीथिंग बीइंग रिटन अबाउट द चेयर। सो इट इज़ ट्वाइस रिमूव फ्रॉम द रियलिटी. So according to Plato, the world of unchanging, that is perfect form, and the physical world is just a mere shadow of that ideal reality. So truth lies in rational contemplation of the forms, not in the sensory appeal of artistic representation, according to Plato. This was ontological inferiority, that is, art as an imitation of an imitation. Second point is epistemological concerns, that is, art as deceptive. So, according to Plato, art could mislead people by appealing to their senses and emotions rather than their reason. So, what happens is that artists do not possess true knowledge of what they depict, they merely simulate appearances. For example, again we are taking example because without example understanding literary theory is difficult. So अगर हम example लें तो a poet who is writing about war may evoke strong emotions. मतलब a poet who is writing about a war, उसके उसके poem को पढ़ के there will be a strong emotions in the reader's mind, but problem क्या है कि but it has no real understanding of strategy, ethics or justice in warfare. It's just about the emotions, it's just about the copy of appearances which creates emotion, but it does not has any real understanding of how the warfare happens and what happens in the war. So similarly, a dramatist can portray just man without understanding the nature of justice, which again means that art relies on illusion, surface level impressions, and it encourages false sense of understanding. That is, it distracts people from logical pursuit of truth and knowledge. So, according to Plato, art is deceptive. It can mislead people by appealing to their senses and emotion rather than reason. जब कोई पोएट एक युद्ध के बारे में लिख रहा है, वॉर के बारे में लिख रहा है, he is just appealing to the senses and emotions of reader rather than rather than helping the reader understand the strategy, ethics and justice in warfare. आया समझ में? And that is why Plato considers art as trivial, as not only trivial, but he also considers art as dangerous. This was number second of why Plato is hostile towards art. Number third is moral and psychological dangers. That is, art as a threat to the soul. So, why Plato considers art as a threat to the soul? Again, Plato's most forceful argument against art, especially poetry and drama, concerns its moral and psychological effect. He argues that art stirs up irrational emotions and weakens soul's rational elements. Tragedy, for instance, evoke pity and fear, encouraging emotional indulgence rather than rational control. So यहाँ पे प्लेटो अकॉर्डिंग टू प्लेटो आर्ट एक इरेशनल इमोशंस को क्रिएट करता है रीडर के माइंड में एंड इट वीकेंस द सोल रैशनल एलिमेंट विच मीन्स दैट लॉजिकल थिंकिंग को कम करता है. हाउ? एक ट्रेजेडी का एग्जाम्पल ले लेते हैं. तो ट्रेजेडी समथिंग which has tragic element in it, any poetry or drama, so it evokes pity and fear among a reader's mind, and it encourages emotional indulgence in the art. But what happens is that there is no logical control. The readers are not able to understand the tragedy logically or how to control that emotions. So there is a threat to the soul because art stirs up irrational emotions and weakens the soul's rational element. So Plato was particularly critical of Homer and the tragedians. So he was critical of Homer and tragedians, those who write tragedy, because he obviously thought that it stirs up emotions which is not logical and which does not help in logical thinking of reader's mind. In his ideal state, that means in Plato's ideal state, education is meant to cultivate reason and virtue, and art misinterprets the truth or glorifies vice, undermines this goal. This goal, which goal? That education is meant to cultivate reason and virtue, and art reduces the logical element, the rational element. Plato famously proposed banning poets from the ideal republic unless they could prove their work contributes to moral and rational development. So, this was about Plato's Plato being hostile towards art. In the next video, we are going to talk about Plato's attitude towards mimesis. Also, we will understand about what is mimesis. So stay tuned for the next video. Thank you for watching.